had this one condo. Okay, so I had this condo downtown, right, on Fort York, and so I was seeing this one girl, and she was from Barrie, right, and she was like, "Yo, like take care of me and stuff like that. Like, give me a place to stay." So what happened was, like we hooked up, right, the first night. And then she slept over. Also, FYI, I actually don't like enjoying sleeping with people. So I went to my den and slept on the floor. I just don't like being disturbed like by like another person there. Like I don't like the cuddling and stuff like that. Like you know at Jersey Shore when like they were done smashing, they're like, "Kaz here." Like that's kind of what I always used to do after I was done. But anyway, so this girl, she's like, she's basically like she's going through some sort of trauma, right? Like her parents kicked her out with some shit, right? So she needed a place to stay. So I allowed her to stay for like a day, right? And then what happened was she was supposed to come over to my place that same night because I asked her, but she didn't come over that night, and I got mad.
Yeah.
So then what happened was she had some of her stuff outside, so I grabbed some of her shit. And then I put it outside my condo door.
Yeah.
And she wanted a key. I was gonna give her a key that day, too.
That day?
That day, I was gonna give her a key that day. And then what made it worse though was like the day of, she also lost her job, so she got fired. So she had no money, no income, and she didn't come that day. So I got pissed. So I left all her stuff like she had like a little like baggy suitcase thing, and I put a note. I'm like, sorry. And then I put it outside. And then she was, dude, I had to call security on her.
No way.
Dude, she kept banging on the door, and then she kept banging the neighbor's door. And the neighbor came out, and the neighbor's like, "Dude, what's going on?" I'm like, "Yo, I don't know this bitch." And then she starts showing text messages from like, she's like, "No, like, I know him." And the neighbors are like, "Dude, what's wrong with you? Like, she's homeless." I'm like, "Yeah. She is." She is homeless. And then afterwards, so like she was out on the streets at that time, and she kept blowing up my phone, kept calling me because she really needed a place to stay. She had no money.
And you didn't save her. I
didn't save her. No,
you and Captain Save a Hoe.
No, because she didn't come over that night when I asked her to.
Yeah, that's tough.
And like
that is a hardcore. It's like an episode of Jerry Seinfeld or something, man.
And then okay, so there's one girl, okay? So there's one girl I was dating, right? Her name was Precious. Okay?
Precious? Like
legit, her name was fucking Precious. I didn't like her name was
did she
legit.
look like Precious?
No,
that's the next question I have.
Her name was Precious, right? And like, okay, this is where I kind of fucked up on, okay? Because like she's like, okay, she only had like one body count on her. Like she was a good girl, but she was psycho. So I never even got to smash. Okay, so that's probably the worst part of the whole entire story. But anyways, so one day she calls me out of the blue. She's like, "Yo, like, I'm in a situation right now." She's like, "I got my lips done, but like my card's not working or some shit, right?"
I got what's it again?
She's like, my card's not working. Like I don't know.
You said, but she got her lips done.
She got her lips done, but like for some reason, like it was supposed to be like a discounted rate, but it ended up not. She didn't get the discount, so she was like, she didn't have any money because she wasn't working at this time, right? So anyways,
what the
this
fuck?
chick, she's like, okay, she's like, "Yo, I'll use my mom's credit card," but she didn't want to use her mom's credit card because her mom doesn't want to like see it, right? So then she's like, "Just e-transfer me when I come to your place afterwards," right? So I'm like, "All right, cool," right? And then, mind you, I have not gotten in yet. This is like the 4th, 5th date now. Like this is like 2 months in the making, right? So like I'm trying really hard, but she's like, "No, like we have to be like exclusive, right?" So I'm like, "Okay, I can't do that." But basically, what happened was she came to the condo, right? And she's chilling. She's watching a movie. She's like, "Okay, you said e-transfer." I'm like, "Can you show me your boobs?" And she's like. And I'm like, I know I haven't. I'm like, I haven't seen anything, right? And she's like, "No, I'm on my period, right?" I'm like, "Okay, but that doesn't mean I can't see your boobs."
Yeah.
And then she's like, and then she just does like this little nip slip. I'm like, "That's not good enough, right?" And I'm like, I'm not sending anything, bro. This girl, she trashed my condo. Like she was going ballistic. I told my sister about the story, dude. She started. I had fucking like food, like fresh food. She threw the food in the sink. I was so upset.
In the sink?
In the sink. She grabbed the food and she dumped the food into the sink.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's wrong. I would go crazy.
And then she took my toothbrush and she you know what she did? She scrubbed it on the toilet.
No.
She scrubbed it.
At least she told you about it.
I saw it.
Oh,
no, she's like, "This is your toothbrush?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Shh."
What the fuck?
Although I cleaned it a little bit, but like she scrubbed it, and then she took my trash can. She threw all my trash on the fucking floor and shit.
Wow.
And then afterwards, I was like, "Yo," I'm like,
yeah.
And then so we're getting into it, right?
Jeez.
And like I grab her shoes and I throw it outside, right? I throw it outside her. The door. I'm like, I'm like, get out, bitch. And then she's like, no, I'm not getting out. And then she had like a cardigan, so I threw that on the balcony. I'm like, either you take the balcony and jump out, or you take the fucking door.
Jump out, like how high is the condo?
Eight stories. She would survive, but like, but anyways, so then afterwards, okay, so she's trashing my place. I'm like, yo, like. And then she starts pulling the card where she's like, yo, like, I'm gonna fucking like call the cops and shit like that, right? So, yo, I tossed her a couple $100. I was like, yo, just get out. And then from there, you thought the relationship would end, but no, we actually kept talking later, more and more, and I still never got it in.
Damn.
That was my biggest L, and like, and then I do take this in. Nothing came out of it. That's when I realized I was like, hey, yo, like, I gotta get it in first.
Yeah, that's why I never fuck with bitches and pay for their shit until after I sample the goods. Like, I mean, I like again, I have no problem with that stuff, but like, yo, these hoes are trifling, bro. Like,
Yeah,
they try to pull some shit, and I learned this at a very young age, yo. Like, because I've been like, I was on my own since I was like 18, like when I moved out on my own and stuff. So like, I got to experience all that shit like early. But like, yeah, these girls, they'll try anything, especially now, like especially nowadays. You gotta be super careful. You gotta really watch it. You gotta sample the milk before you start paying the cheddar.
This one time,
you know what I mean?
This one time, right?
Yeah.
So one time this girl's like, yo, pay for my, like, I forgot what it was, but like she was like, pay for something, right? And then she's like, I'll get it in, which is basically like practically like transactional, right? At that point, right? But whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so she's like, I forgot what it was that she wanted, but I'm like, cool, right? So I'm downstairs, I'm waiting for her, and she's like, yo, because like I didn't have a buzzer at that time, right? So I had to come downstairs and get the girl. And I'm like, she's like, where do I park, right? I'm like, oh, just park in the garage. And she's like, she didn't park. I'm like, where's your car, right? And she's like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. And then I'm standing in the lobby. I'm like, dude, like, where's your car? And she's like, yo, she's like, let's go upstairs. Let's go upstairs. I'm like, no. I'm like, I need to know where your car is. And then I see this black guy walking in, right? I see this black
walking in where?
Walking into the entrance
Of the condo. Yeah.
and then I'm like, but before I asked her, I'm like, what's your car, right? She's like, it's a Benz. And I saw the Benz at the far end. And I'm like, and I see this black guy walk in, and he's sitting in the lobby. I'm like, yo, who is this, right? She's like, I don't know who he is. I'm like, dude. And I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, she's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm like, you need to fucking leave. And she's like, why? She's like, let's go upstairs and let's have fun, right? I'm like, no. I'm like, if I do that, I'm like, I know that's your pimp. I know he's probably gonna rob me afterwards.
Shut the fuck up. How do you know that was her pimp?
Because it was a black guy that walked in with her.
With her?
No, not with her. So first she walked in, and then I knew that it was a gray Benz because she told me it was a Benz, right? Because she asked me where to park. So he probably thought the pimp had to like park or some shit, right?
And you told her to park in your garage.
In the garage, but he parked in the roundabout, right? So he walked in, and I can just tell because you can just tell, right? You can just see.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I don't know who him. I'm like, dude, I'm like, get out, right? They're not getting out. So I go to like the fat security guard lady, and I'm like, yo, I'm like, what's her name, Cindy or Kelly? I'm like, yo, these two are like about to rob me. I'm like, kick them out, right? And and then I run upstairs. I'm like, yo, fuck this. I'm not dealing with this. And then I text her after. I'm like, yo, like, I know what I saw. She's like, no, babe, it wasn't gonna be like that. It was gonna be a quickie. He was just there for protection. You know, I'm a girl. Blah blah blah. I'm like, but like, why do you, if that's the case, if you're pimped out, fine, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you don't need to be in the lobby where you're going to go. I thought this, okay. I thought this. I give her the hotel room, the condo room, 8, whatever it is, and then he would come to the 8th floor and then
wait for it. Yeah, exactly.
And maybe she'd be like, yo, I gotta go to the washroom. Open up the door and then come and rob me.
Yeah, bro, for sure. No, that makes sense. Yeah, you gotta be careful, man. I don't fuck around with these bitches. Like, it's just they're too sketchy,
hot too.
Too shady.
And she was really hot too. Like, she was like I was hesitant. I'm like, hey, do I die for it or do I proceed with it?
Is it worth the robbery? Is it worth losing my shit?
Is it worth it? Like, I'm like thinking, and like, I never had had that happen to me before, but I picked it up so fast. Like I picked it up so because you could just feel like that gut feeling is so real. Like you could just tell when things are going wrong, right? And then,
absolutely.
And then what other?
You gotta trust that gut instinct.